T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
That is right, you guys. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. I am your host, Rihanna Santana, one half of the only dominating tag team in women's wrestling talk history, the Salt Shakers. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm here with my co-host, Stephanie. Oh, Lord, I think this way. Stephanie Hardy was going on with Stephanie. Happy Friday. This is SmackDown and Rampage post show. Yeah, it's a lot happened tonight on both shows, to be exact. How are you feeling, Stephanie?
I'm feeling great, and I'm really excited to talk about everything. This is just these past 2 weeks, post the Vince retirement has just been like firing on all cylinders, from Summerslam to Raw to NXT to SmackDown, and then of course with AEW Rampage and AEW Dynamite, and then with their Battle of the Belts coming up. Like, it's a lot popping off in the world of wrestling, but I can't wait to get into it because tonight was cool.
Ooh.
And I'm doing fine, by the way. Doing good.
That's awesome. I mean, what's going on, everybody who's watching us tonight? Spending your Fridays, ending your Fridays with, of course, me and Stephanie here. And I mean, we might as well just kind of jump into the show. Of course, I take over SmackDown and Stephanie takes over Rampage. It's how we do it here. Not really happy to start off the show with this guy here, but here we are. Roman Reigns and the Usos outside pulling up to the venue arena tonight, and basically getting ready to have this face-to-face with Drew McIntyre later on within the show. They're here, yay! I mean, I don't know what else to feel. I mean, Paul Heyman is always on the injury list because he got put through a table at SummerSlam that I was there live along with Nikki to see this in person. Roman seems to be doing well after having a ring lift take place at SummerSlam. Usos look great, after defending their titles against the Street Profits. So, I mean, I don't know. They're here. No Paul Heyman. It's kind of weird. But is it weird? Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's not as weird because we have seen the bloodline without Paul before, because there was that one little hiccup where he had last year, where he wasn't with them when he was back with Brock Lesnar or whatever, when he was flip-flopping. But it's just amazing when you think about Paul Heyman and everything he's done in the wrestling business. But I've never seen him take anything as violent as he did, as he did at SummerSlam. Like, I never thought I would see Paul Heyman go through a table, and that happened. Like, you can tell he really loves this business, because if you go through a table when you absolutely don't even have to because you are an advocate, that's how much love you have. And I just respect Papa Paul more than anything in this world. And we're sending up prayers for him, because I know that couldn't have been easy. So yeah, the bloodline showing up at the beginning of the show, I mean, it makes sense, and in a sense it was bookended, of course, but we'll get into that later. But you know, the bloodline holds all the goals, so you know they're gonna hold all the time. And yeah, it's just, this is just the bloodline's world, and we're just living in it, Sam.
Oh, I don't know who we is, but I'm not French. We as we move the hell on to as we move on to our first match of the night, Happy Corbin with Ricochet. Ricochet has not been on screen since he almost lost Samantha to Shanky. But I mean, I believe I was on my way home, so I didn't necessarily see how this pretty much started, but so I got a play-by-play that obviously Pat McAfee was still talking about bum ass, sad ass, broke ass, dumb ass Corbin. Sorry, Nikki. But he was talking about Barry Corbin, Happy Corbin, and how, you know, he did a play-by-play of what he did to him at SummerSlam, and then everybody in the back was laughing at him, you know, cracking jokes and laughing along, you know, and he stepped to Ricochet of all people, as if Ricochet was the only person laughing back there. And so, well, we ended up getting this match here, and it was very good. But Ricochet ended up picking up the win. It feels like, you know, Triple H is definitely got his hand somewhere. It seems like tonight was all about a lot of the NXT alumni. Sammy said, now I don't have to call corporate. However, Samantha and I are still in competition. Well, Sam, I think you lost that competition a long time ago. Or you just never were in the picture. So Joseph said this was a great match. I enjoyed it, although to me it felt like the bigger deal was that Pat took the first half of SmackDown to gloat that he won in SummerSlam. He has a right to gloat. He won.
Right. And
why
the
not
fact
rub him in the face?
And then the fact that they utilize a lot of the football, you know, jargon and stuff with that screen, I felt like John Madden would be so proud of him for using that. Rest in peace to him. But it was just really funny the way he did it, because it just reminds you of 90s Monday Night Football. It was really cool. But he did beat Happy Corbin, and he had every right to do that. And brag about it for like the first 30 minutes of the show. But y'all know Pat gotta be extra. So
he does extra in having a football that he tossed into the ring to Ricochet, then Ricochet tossed it back out to him, signs it, and then throws it into the crowd. You definitely know that arm is still intact. I will say that because he threw it pretty far for what I could see. And there were some happy fans about to beat each other over it. I tell you that much. I will say that. But shout out to Ricochet for picking up the win. Like I said, it's been a minute since we've seen him on TV. He's kind of just been beat up, or it just hasn't been seen on screen. So shout out to him for, you know, finally winning his match in a very, very long time. And of course, we get the salute from Pat McAfee to Ricochet. And of course, salute to, I guess, Baron Corbin, Happy Corbin, because, I mean, what else could he do now? I don't know.
Yeah, his focus was on Pat for like parts of the match. It's like he was very distracted. It seemed like through some parts of the match he was very distracted, because he just couldn't get the fact that Pat, you know, he lost to Pat at SummerSlam, and then the fact that Pat was bragging about it. Literally. So it was just kind of like, you know, you're still focused on him while you got Ricochet there, and I feel like ultimately that was his downfall. It's the fact that he was just so focused on Pat that he couldn't focus on Ricochet. So Happy Corbin's on the struggle bus now.
Will we finally get broke ass Corbin again?
Yeah.
I hope so. As we move on within the show, of course, we have our next match, which Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ludwig Kaiser. And if Shinsuke wins, he earns an Intercontinental Championship match. I guess this was more so of another way of letting Ludwig know that he's just going to get his ass beat every chance he gets. And I do feel bad for this man because unfortunately he did not win this match to stop Shinsuke from getting a title opportunity against Gunther. But nonetheless, it was a fairly all right match. I think the bigger picture here is getting these two basically. And this match actually with Gunther and Shinsuke will take place next week. I thought maybe it would have taken place at the Clash at the Castle, but honestly, I feel like this match might not end in a clean way. It could be that this match could end up in a disqualification where it does, lead up to Clash at the Castle. A Clash at the Castle is September. What do you think, Stephanie? Do you think are you happy that Shinsuke won, is back in the title picture? And do you think that maybe Ludwig could get tired of Gunther constantly beating on him for not winning his matches? Because obviously we hang around winners around here.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this because on the one hand, you have Shinsuke, who looked almost as if he wanted to pose and, challenge Roman, but then it's almost like they knocked him and slapped him right back down as if to humble himself back to the mid card, which is something that I do kind of hate, but I guess now we just have to live with it because they don't care about our feelings. But then on the other hand, with him fighting Gunther for the IC championship, I think this is a good opportunity, even though this is a title that he has won before. And even if it does, wind up losing, if he winds up, losing a match via DQ or something like that, and they do make it go to Clash at the Castle in September, it would be good considering Gunther is, a talent from the UK in a sense. So that would be, sort of like a show of solidarity for the UK if he were to defend that title there. That would be cool for the aesthetic of it. But at the same time, I'm not sure considering the IC title isn't really defended on bigger shows like that anymore for some reason. I don't know why.
True.
But yeah, I mean, it could go either way, but if it did, go to Clash of the Castle, that would be good aesthetic wise for the Wales event. But
I agree. I think we just pretty much have to wait and see what happens next week with that. As we move forward, now I know this looks very weird, but let's tell you how we got here. So we had Kofi backstage, and of course he's all alone once again. There's no Big E, there's no Xavier, it's just Kofi all by himself once again. And he talks about the weeks that's going on between the Viking Raiders and how they just they came back, they're mean, they're vicious, they've been beating on them and stuff like that. But Kofi is all about revenge tonight, and he definitely got it, because after the Viking Raiders had their tag team match with the greatest tag team in that arena that they were there at tonight, that I just cannot seem to remember, because Pat McAfee
South Carolina,
the greatest tag team ever in South Carolina.
Greenville, South Carolina, yeah.
According to Pat McAfee, they got beat the hell out of, and of course, well, the Viking Raiders won, but did they really? Because Kofi came out there with a kendo stick and literally beat the hell. I mean, look at his back. Look at Ivar's back right here. His back is bruised up. This is like, one of those. I'm pretty sure you wonder how I got here. Let's rewind the tape and let you know that I got here this way. Thank you, Nikki. It's debuting my new hair color tonight. Everybody knows I've been rocking my black hair, but I wanted to add some color. because
Yeah,
it's
it's
wrong
pretty.
with color. Thanks. It's not wrong with look color, of course. But yeah, it's poor Ivar. His back is sweaty and scarred up. And then so it ended up being a singles match between Eric and Kofi, which Kofi ended up getting the win. He literally ended up getting the win. And I mean, shout out to Kofi. I mean, are we in the run of having like a nice singles run from Kofi again? With the absence of Xavier Woods and Big E, which I definitely would have loved to see Xavier really get like a nice long singles run, but that man always injured somehow, some way. Like, are you injured prone, sir? We don't need none of this happening. We don't. But nonetheless, Kofi ended up getting the win. Where does this go? I mean, Kofi is by himself now. Obviously, there's still going to be some issues between him and the Viking Raiders. Like, do you think we're going to get someone to come help Kofi in somehow, some way, or is Kofi just going to be maybe taking this alone by himself?
He might just go it alone. And honestly, with the way that he beat up on Eric and Ivar tonight with that kendo stick before the match,
Yeah, it gave me nightmares, Lord. I remember telling my mom beat me, Lord, and
oh my God, like I wouldn't even mind it at this point because it's just like it reminded me of 2009 Kofi that destroyed Randy Orton's race car and beat up on him all over Madison Square Garden. You know, like that's what that reminded me of. And he was just going ham. And I was like, come on, Kofi, let these people know why you are goated, why you are the Grand Slam champion. Because a lot of people be forgetting just because he be dancing and be forgetting that just because he been with the New Day for so long, that this man was going at, you know, by himself before all of that, winning all these titles before all of that, and going ham on all of his opponents before all of that. So this was like, it was good to see this type of fire out of him, you know, on his own. Like we've seen Kofi at his best on his own so many times. So I was here for it. And then the fact that he won the match, that just made me so happy. I was like, yes, Kofi, you deserve it. Because honestly, you know, the New Day has had a rough go of it these past couple of months. Like fighting the Brawling Brutes, fighting these guys. It's just like they just kept losing time after time after time. And they would have so much heart to go up against these opponents, but they would always wind up losing. And I got sick of it. So watching him get this win and, you know, put a stamp and say, look, I'm gonna beat you guys' ass with this stick. You know, like that was fire. I always have loved Kofi since the beginning. So this was just great. And it just reminded me of when he first started and when he was, you know, beating everybody's behind and letting people know who he is. Like, come on. This is for Ghana. All right. So.
Joseph said it was refreshing seeing singles Kofi. He was at his best when Kofi Mania was here for 6 or 7 months. He
absolutely.
I definitely have to agree. Someone I will say who is not at his best right now and has been trying to get in contact with his tribal chief and would like to be treated as an honorary Uso. Sami Zayn. All night he has been trying to get in, like speak to Roman Reigns. He's been knocking on the door. He's been running different errands, make sure the entrance is right and all this and that. And finally, you know, he still doesn't even get to talk to Roman. Constantly, he's still talking to the Usos. And the Usos says, you know what? You're not pulling your weight around here, Sammy. Everybody around us is wearing gold right now. Roman got 2 belts. We got 4. And I think Jimmy looked a little confused because he was like, what? 4? Whatever. But you need to get you some gold. So, you know, how is Sammy going to get gold around his waist so that he can be treated as an honorary Uso? Like, how? Who is he going to go over? I saw on social media people think he should go after the 24/7 title.
But that's weird though. How do you go for that title when they didn't even show that on Raw this past week?
No, they don't show it on SmackDown either.
They don't.
It's like, I mean, what is he gonna do? Like, how will Sami Zayn get a title in order to be accepted a part of the bloodline?
I don't know. See, and this is where you remember how we were talking about, during the time of Money in the Bank, how
Mm-hmm.
cool it would have been if he had won Money in the Bank and held it within the bloodline and then cashed it in on Roman. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this is where that space could have been. But seeing as they have all the titles and really everybody else has all the titles, I don't see him beating Gunther anytime soon for the IC title. The US title is held by Bobby Lashley of all people. Like that's
But
just
what if the Usos like kind of help him win his title though? Like, let's just say if he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna go get me a title, so I'm gonna go I'm gonna go out to Raw, I'm gonna challenge Bobby Lashley for the title, and somehow, some way, the Usos help uh Sammy win this title. Sort of how the same way Roman pretty much helped the Usos win the Raw titles.
I don't know. Like
If we're being honest, the Bloodline has helped each other win titles.
they have.
So why not do the same for someone who wants to be a part?
But my thing is, it's just like you could tell from the energy that the Usos have for him throughout these segments. It's almost like they sort of like Jay Uso treated him like he was a fly
Mm-hmm.
at the family reunion when you trying to eat your food. Like he just swatted him off, like, you ain't pulling your weight, get out of my face. Like, no. Like, so it's just
Touch my
like
food, no, man.
how do you help somebody that you see as a nuisance?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it just seems as if, like, eventually somewhere down the line, like, the Usos are going to be like, I mean, well, you can say Sammy and Kevin for the tag titles, but then that means that the Usos don't have 4 titles anymore.
Right.
But Sammy is holding the title.
I don't know how this gonna work.
I mean, what can really be said is the fact that, like, I mean, Sammy has to find a way to get a title in order to be accepted with the bloodline. But let's just say if the bloodline, somehow, some way, comes down to the line and they lose their titles, they're just like Sammy.
I don't know.
Maybe Sammy finds a way to insert himself in like the triple threat match with Gunther and Shinsuke next week.
Or maybe they'll just haze him and then consider that his weight. I don't know.
Nah, I think they want him to wear some gold around his waist. Like, you want to come out with us, you want to be a part of this with us, then you need to get some gold, and you need to figure out how you're going to get some gold. If he goes down to NXT and wins the NXT championship, that's your gold. Bring it to Friday Night SmackDown. Bring it to Monday Night Raw. Go wrestle down at NXT. Take the title from Braun Breaker, although he has his match going on with JD. But still.
That would be cool because Sammy is a former NXT champion, and he didn't really hold that title that long the first time he won it because Kevin Owens stabbed him in the back.
Yeah.
And injured him.
That is true.
So he didn't have that one. He didn't have the first iteration of the NXT tag title for that long. So that would be interesting. It would give me and Kat something interesting to talk about on Thursdays.
Oh God.
We have interesting stuff to talk about, but that would definitely be even more interesting. Cheap plug. Watch us on Thursdays at 6:00 as we recap NXT 2.0 in UK on here because it's cool.
It is cool. But nonetheless, as we get here, get Sammy off my screen. As we get here to what's considered to be our main event, the last thing that pretty much happened for the men. Not that much happened for the men tonight. We didn't get any of the maximum male models tonight. You know what I'm saying? We didn't get any of that. Sorry, Sam. I know how you feel about Masse and everything. And we didn't get that tonight. We didn't get anything dealing with the maximum male models tonight. So maybe they'll come out with a Class of the Council collection or something.
But we did get a lot of them at SummerSlam though with that water commercial. That was funny. That was funny to me.
I don't know if they were selling water or sex, but
hey, both. I mean, I'm not opposed.
It should have been Carmelo Hayes, Lord.
Oh, girl. Ooh, if it was him, we would have had a time.
Father God.
Happy belated birthday to him.
I was
happy belated birthdays. Oh my God.
Yes. Shout out to the Leos. Y'all know who y'all are and what y'all do. I was robbed seeing the collection. Yeah, I bet. I was wondering what Santana and Nikki thought of that water commercials they were at SummerSlam Live.
Did y'all see it?
We saw it on the screen just like everybody else did, but it wasn't like they was like out there in person, like doing the water and stuff. It was behind the screen doing it or whatever. So it was just like, well, Nikki gave you her answer. Disgusting. I was just like, what the hell is going on? Sam said, yes, I still need that Pure Life water bottle from Marseille. I'm calling corporate immediately. Sam, just go to the store and get you some of that shit. Shut the hell up. Don't drink some damn Dasani. It was titillating the juices of my guilty pleasures.
I'm calling corporate on a t-shirt.
Stop reading them damn sex books and utilize them in this situation here. Anyway,
I'm calling corporate t-shirts now because Sammy he calls corporate.
Sam do not be calling corporate. Yeah, man, he's such a black Karen. He's such he's a black Jimmy. That's what he is. He just want to call corporate, call your manager. If you breathe wrong, where's your manager? I want to speak to your manager. Child, don't nobody pay that man no attention. Like, please. He be trying to call corporate on the dumbest things. Anyway,
let's start it. Women's Wrestling Talk merch. I'm calling corporate.
No, absolutely not. Sam gonna be the only one buying this in all colors because I win. I throw that shit in the trash.
Shout out to Sammy.
I cannot. The undisputed WWE Universal Championship Roman Reigns addresses Drew McIntyre. Of course, Liv won, so they heard my complaints. Child, she only won because they felt pity, which we'll get to her real soon anyway, because I don't think too many people happy anyway like that anymore, like they proclaim they are. But Roman Reigns ended up addressing Drew McIntyre tonight. What we thought he addressed him. Because obviously Drew did not allow him to get his point across, which I'm glad Drew interrupted. Because who cares what he thinks, except for those who did care, but not me. But honestly, I don't think someone in particular was trying to hear anything that either of them said, because we got a interesting return tonight. The reports were in that this person was going to be coming back to WWE after being released, but we just didn't know exactly when and where this person is going to show up. And Karrion Kross with a C is back, ladies and gentlemen, and he's not alone. He has his lovely wife Scarlett along the way, which somebody said she looked like a sickle cell. I think that's just awful, but this outfit was hideous. Definitely would get zeros on Turnbuckle Glam for me. It was. But Karrion Kross is back, and it seems as if like Roman's time is ticking. Is it? It's ticking. Scarlett puts this hourglass inside of the ring, and it's basically letting Roman know that your days are numbered. Your time as champion is numbered. It could mean that. It just means that, listen, TikTok, I'm coming for that title. I don't even know really what the crowd reaction was. At first, it's just like, we kind of knew who it was. Those who knew, but it's just like the way they were doing the camera cuts, trying to cover his face and everything and stuff like that. It was just, it was quite interesting. I will say that. Sam said, "Fall and pray. So happy they are back. Can't wait to see Scarlett in the ring." Um, Joseph said, "This is like the biggest what the fuck in a good way. I mean, it feels like Triple H is trying to get back everybody that was let go during the pandemic. I can't wait for WWE fans to see Scarlett wrestle. She is good. Scarlett reminded me of a Mother Nature Poison Ivy." And Joseph said also, "I'm surprised that he is put in the main event scene right away. Are we supposed to believe he will take both belts from Roman?"
Ooh.
As a lovely member and fan of the bloodline and especially Roman Reigns, do you think that Karrion Kross could be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns? I feel like I'm doing an interview.
I feel like he could. I feel like this is, even though as much as I love the bloodline and Roman Reigns, and I love to acknowledge my daddy, it's just this, the way that Karrion Kross came out here tonight. I didn't see any of the reports, because all I knew was the fact that they were on the independents and they were making appearances here and there. So I hadn't seen any of the reports or any of the rumors involving them possibly coming back. So this was a huge surprise to me. Like, I didn't think they would come back at that point. I thought, they were happy where they were. So I was like, okay, fine. Great for them. So seeing them on television at the end, like you got Roman and you got Drew jaw jacking at each other. And then all of a sudden, behind Drew, I notice it's dark. And then all of a sudden, I hear this music that's real familiar. And I'm just like, no. Are you kidding? No, this can't be him. No. I know this song. And then she's standing there, on the platform like she used to do in Black and Gold NXT. And then all of a sudden, you see this guy beating this dude up in this leather jacket. And I'm like, this can't be him. And then he turned around and it was him. And I was like, oh my God. I was in such shock. I couldn't believe it. Like, I really couldn't. And honestly, this debut felt like a revamp, like almost like a reboot of his previous debut. And I feel like this is what it should have been from the get-go. Because the first go of it on the main roster just was not it at all. No. And then him and Scarlett were separated, and that just didn't work either. They were never brought back together, and then all the releases happened, and we all know how we felt about that. So now he's back, and then she put the hourglass in the ring at Roman, and I'm just like, oh, sugar. Like, this is what we've got going on. It's like we're cooking with hot grease now. It's NXT TakeOver SmackDown. I'm excited.
Wow, it's a lot happening, I'll tell you that much.
I'm excited. I feel like he can give, he really could give Roman a run for his money. I know people have mixed feelings about him, as a wrestler. They feel like, some feel like he's okay, other people feel like he's mediocre. But I still feel like, once the trigger is truly pulled on him, he'll do pretty okay. I'm not sure if he'll take the titles off of him though, because Roman still has, multiple people on his side. He still has his cousins. He still has Paul. So I don't know how well that will work with those X factors. But by himself, Karrion can try.
That's interesting. I mean, because got to see actually Scarlett and Karrion over the weekend at Starcast. I mean, it's not my first time seeing them. I saw them at WrestleCon, doing WrestleMania weekend, and then seeing them at Starcast over the weekend too, and actually watching his match that he had at Ric Flair's last match. Like Joseph said, like 5 days ago, he beat David Hart Smith at Ric Flair's last match, and now he's back with SmackDown. Will people take Killer Kross more seriously now that Scarlett is back with him? I mean, it's possible. I feel like this is what we were supposed to be getting in the beginning, like Stephanie said, like in regards to like his first debut to the main roster, it was very weird seeing him without Scarlett. It feels as if like without Scarlett, Karrion is just there. You know, I feel like Scarlett brings a different essence to his character by being on his side. I feel like she brings something there that just adds more to him, and it is interesting because I mean you have this whole bloodline, and you have him and you have her, and it's like it's a lot of things that could really happen. Sam says Scarlett was supposed to wrestle on Raw, but was injured and wasn't medically cleared. And then, like after that, she ended up being the first to be released. And then, not too long ago, Karrion was released too. But I saw a tweet from Drew McIntyre that he had posted, and he was like, "Was I just jumped by the guy last seen wearing bandage and a helmet? I've had better Fridays." Drew is hilarious, and I'm excited to see what happened next week. Like, do we see like Drew and Karrion like being in some type of match together or something? Because I'm pretty sure like Drew is gonna want some answers or looking to use his sword to beat the hell out of Karrion Kross next week somehow, some way. Definitely a mic drop from Drew McIntyre, Joseph. Definitely a mic drop. Like, man was just wearing bondage and a helmet. He was last seen wearing that. It's hilarious. It's funny. Drew is like he's prepared and he's ready for anything. I tell you that much. He really is. But that was pretty much all that had happened with the men tonight. Let's go ahead and jump into our women because there were some things that happened with the women. One in particular I'm actually happy about. I was just afraid of what the outcome could be. I will say that. So, of course, starting first, we had the Summerslam Controversy that a lot of people were talking about and discussing. Of course, if you missed SummerSlam, definitely go back and watch our SummerSlam post show with me, Stephanie, Gerard, and TK. We talked about, they got to talk about a little bit more. I had to get home to my hotel and everything. But basically just discuss everything that happened with SummerSlam. It was a good show. Definitely go check that out. But as far as this controversy goes, of course, Liv Morgan defended her SmackDown Women's Champion against Ronda Rousey. Oh, Lord, it's so weird saying that. Jesus. She defended her title against Ronda Rousey, who she beat at Money in the Bank for this title after winning the Money in the Bank, Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So controversy was the fact that in the midst of Rousey having Morgan in the armbar, Liv lifted her up in a way where Ronda's shoulders were flat on the ground. But in the midst of the ref doing the pin, Liv Morgan was tapping out. And Corey Graves did point that out, that she's tapping. Liv Morgan tapped out. However, the ref was more focused on Ronda's shoulders being on the ground because that's what he saw first. And that's what happened first. So basically Ronda ended up getting snubbed out of a victory for her title. But you know, there was a lot of discussion, and Liv Morgan came out, and of course you can see her arm is wrapped up, and she obviously has like a arm injury, but she should be okay and good to go by Clash at the Castle. So Liv Morgan, she comes out, Kayla introduces her, she comes out, she talks a little bit about, you know, of course, what happened. She admits that she did tap out. And I mean, the crowd seemed to boo Liv. Like, they booed her. They said that they did the "you tapped out" chants. I mean, for someone who was like so beloved and everybody was so happy to see her win, mad when she, you know, got opportunities and lost, and so on and so forth. Now she's being booed and saying and getting "you tapped out" chants. I don't know. Everybody knows I'm not the biggest Liv Morgan fan. I'm I'm not, like, by no means necessary. But it's kind of weird how, how every superstar that has came out and has talked about how the fans are when you fight so hard and they're on your side, but as soon as you win, they turn on you. Becky Lynch said it. Kevin Owens said it. So many other wrestlers have said this. And y'all did the same thing to Liv. It's crazy. It is. Yes, Sam, we know. She's the only woman to be Ronda Rousey twice. Okay. Argue with your mama, call Triple H. I said what I said. Great. That's cool. Awesome. Joseph said, I don't think officials backstage like how this crowd reacted to Liv still being women's champion. And a lot of their minds, Liv wanted Ronda suspended because Liv knows she can't beat Ronda. Liv still has to prove herself today. I don't know. What do you think, Stephanie?
It's like I said on the after show for SummerSlam. I was very irritated and disappointed with how that match ended because I really did want Liv to prove that she could go up against Ronda Rousey the way that a lot of people didn't think that she could. But with the way that ended, with her tapping while also pinning her shoulders, it was just kind of like, girl, like, what was that? And it was almost like the excuses she gave tonight gave off the impression that she was just trying to do anything to win, which calls into question, what your character is at this point. Because I mean, are you trying to be the opportunist, or are you trying, or are you, truly like the miracle kid or the underdog that we were rooting for? Like, and it makes me sad because there were a lot of people who were genuinely rooting for you, and now you've shown yourself to try to do anything to keep the title because you love it. I understand that, but at the same time, you also have to at least admit the fact that Ronda, from an athletic standpoint, actually did, toss you around a bit last Saturday. She tossed you around a bit, and you had to get scrappy in order to win. Like, okay, admit that. But at the same time, with everybody booing her, I'm not really surprised at that because it's giving you were desperate to win. And of course, I'm not trying to throw shade at her because I do think that she is talented, but honestly, her winning like that really did disappoint me, and it's clear that it disappointed some other people as well because they were booing her tonight, and that came from a real place. But then while she was watching the gauntlet match, it's like there were people who were still chanting for Liv, but then they were also chanting for Ronda too, and it's just like so it's kind of like a mixed bag. This crowd was pretty lit and weird. But yeah, I'm disappointed in this. And my thing is, if you're gonna be a shark, be a shark. Admit it. Like just admit that you were trying to be scrappy in order to win and do anything that was necessary to win. Because at least then I respect that. But I don't know.
Well, Sam, who is a resident Liv Morgan fan, believes that and states that he is tired of this horrible makeup woman coming into this business and stealing opportunities from other women in WWE. Ronda can stay home. Boo. Tomatoes will be thrown at Ronda. Joseph said that rumor was Logan Paul and The Miz went too long at SummerSlam and they were forced to heavily edit the match with Liv and Ronda. That's why it only got 4.5 minutes at SummerSlam. But honestly, if I'm actually sitting there watching the match, it wasn't that good. It wasn't that great. It wasn't like it was all right, but it's not anything that says that, oh, this was like the best first title defense that Liv Morgan has ever had. And it wasn't. It was
Ronda dominated her.
It was just like this is a training class or something. And Liv was just the training person that they was in there working with or something. But I definitely did not like their match. By no means necessary. Yeah, the match it was horrible, and Ronda did look upset after the fact. I know that this is more so of a way of trying to get Ronda to go heel, because this is something that she said that she wanted to do anyway, was to go heel. And she's been waiting on to that moment to go heel. Ronda and her did not click well at all. Joseph said, I think Ronda was pissed because she had to lose like that. And B, they only had 4 minutes. That's not long to tell a proper story. That is true. But however, I do feel like with the way this match ended, it does have some story to tell, is the fact that although Liv Morgan was tapping, the ref did not see that. And so she still picked up the win on Ronda Rousey, no matter how she got it. She still ended up picking up the win on Ronda Rousey. And yeah, that match was like a blink of an eye. You know, it didn't even feel like it was when you say 4.5 minutes, it doesn't even feel like it was 4 minutes. It felt like it was like 2 minutes, and that was it. But I felt like maybe somewhere down the line, yeah, I mean, yeah, she beat her twice, but beating someone twice, it still doesn't mean that it, I mean, it has its credibility, but not too many people gonna remember that by the way the matches went. The only thing they're gonna remember is the fact that, okay, maybe she won Money in the Bank. They probably remember that. They may or may not remember her SmackDown Women's Championship reign. You know, it's already starting off not that great. Let's be honest. But with this gauntlet that happened tonight, maybe, you know, there was a way to kind of revive, you know, Liv Morgan in the midst of her having this injury, and see who her opponent would be for Clash at the Castle. Of course, Sonya Deville, you know, she came out first, and she faced off against Aaliyah, which ended up Aaliyah being eliminated by Sonya Deville, and then Raquel Rodriguez came out. She eliminated Sonya, and then pretty much Raquel was looking like she was really close to winning this match. I mean, she eliminated Shotzi, she eliminated Xia Li, and she eliminated Natalya. The only person she had left was Shayna Baszler. It was nice to see two former NXT Women's Champions like kind of end off with this gauntlet match. They did, I mean, Raquel did a really good job throughout the entire match. She really did. From the time she got in there to the time she lasted with Shayna Baszler. And I mean, she did really good. She really showed that the crowd was behind her. She put in like so much work. And I mean, although, you know, Xia Li was going for her leg, and even Natalya was like going for her leg too. It still wasn't enough to keep her down, and she really showed out tonight. But when you have someone as dominating and hopefully getting the opportunity to revive her dominance, Shayna Baszler, she ended up winning the gauntlet tonight. And so her and Liv Morgan would face off against each other at Clash at the Castle. And if Liv think that how Ronda was at SummerSlam was anything, actually get in the ring with someone who has an MMA background that actually knows how to wrestle. That is who you should be afraid of.
That's a
Ronda
challenge.
can give, you know, she does the MMA stuff, but Shayna Baszler does not sling you around the ring all the time. She actually goes in there and wrestle. So Liv Morgan better heal up. Shayna is not going to be someone easy for her to beat. She's not. And
not at all.
No. Shayna is. Go ahead.
Yeah, this isn't. I didn't mean to interrupt you. This isn't going to be a sneaky victory. Like Liv, is going to have her work cut out for her with this match. And honestly, I was happy that Shayna won this opportunity because, it's like Gerard said when we were on the after show. The last time he saw Shayna, she was wrestling a dark match and she wound up losing against Raquel in that dark match in Atlanta. And honestly, seeing her get this opportunity is almost like a redo. Here again, like a reboot, because the last time we saw her go for a singles title was against Becky Lynch, at WrestleMania in 2020, the one where nobody was there because of COVID. And after she lost, you never saw her go for a singles title ever again. It was like she was in the tag picture all the time. And it was just really sad because she's just so talented on her own. So she was always getting stuck with tag teams. And then if she wasn't with the tag team, she wasn't on television. So to see her, fight and get this opportunity the way that she did, not even through underhanded tactics, but just by being the better wrestler in that gauntlet match
Yeah.
after Raquel went so far, was good for me and my morale. And I was happy to see her get this opportunity, and she gets to go to Wales and possibly destroy Liv. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting.
I'm very interested in seeing how I mean, because we've seen Shayna and we've seen Liv in matches together. She demolished Liv at the Elimination Chamber. I'm sorry. I mean, immediately
It was
Liv is
hard.
out for the count. And so we know if Shayna gets built back up to that dominant Shayna that she was when she first came to the main roster, even how she was in NXT, I don't know. I don't. Um, I have absolutely no idea how that match for her and Liv would end or transpire. And hell, it'll be like if Liv even makes it to Clash at the Castle. Joseph said, I have a sneaky feeling this ends up being a triple threat match. Ronda won't sit by and be quiet while somebody get a chance to dethrone Liv.
I can see that.
It's possible, but then again, that means like you're taking an opportunity away from someone who's supposed to be your friend.
Mm,
Shayna's supposed to be your friend. You know,
right.
you want to come in and spare off against each other or whatever, but we know who the better wrestler is. The only difference is she may have the bigger name than Shayna, but she's not the better wrestler. She's not. And that's been a proven fact because at least with Shayna, she came over here to WWE and she dominated. She actually put the work in. She actually had those indie matches and stuff like that. I remember watching matches that she had with Taya Valkyrie. It was really good. She's had an amazing career, and it just sucks that because of her look, she wasn't able to skyrocket to the top the way she was supposed to. So now that we have someone, of course, like a Triple H being there and being around when Shayna was champion in NXT and allowed her to be this dominant champion and a dominant heel that she was, I hope that we are able to have this opportunity that Shayna does get that back. I really do. I don't
Oh,
hope Mhm.
there is something that I do have to say to that though.
Yeah.
On my episode of the Hardy Wrestling podcast that I've just put out last weekend, I actually did address how actor Freddie Prinze Jr. was talking about what the writers' room used to be like
Mhm.
because he did write for them, and of course Kevin Dunn was working for them at the time,
Yeah.
and he said that there were a lot of times where they would create and craft stories for the women.
Mhm.
Kevin Dunn would sort of turn stuff down. He would turn stuff down on the basis of the women not being attractive enough. And I
Mm.
feel like that is the trashiest thing that could have ever happened back then because it's just like, or it's just like these women have the talent, and I'm more than sure you don't do that for the men based
Oh,
off of their attractiveness. So, I'm glad that there is a change happening where the women are hopefully at this point being more valued for their talent more than how they look on the outside.
yeah.
Because honestly, if the women's roster and even if the men's roster does not reflect what the world looks like in real life,
Mhm.
you're already losing.
Of course, but you have to understand though, like he lived in a time where it was just nothing about wanting to hear like just women looking a certain kind of way, having a certain aesthetic. That's the only thing that mattered because they knew that that's something that would get the men wanting to come to the shows. As if women don't watch the shows either.
Right.
Stupid. Sam said he hopes it leads to Shayna versus Ronda. And
Yeah.
Joseph said, I heard the same story as Stephanie. He said Kevin Dunn wouldn't push Becky because Becky wasn't hot. Why else has Mandy Rose been champion for 289 days in NXT? That's valid. I mean, you can't, like, what you think is attractive may not be attractive. You know what I'm saying? Some people find Becky attractive. Seth
Right.
Rollins did it. He married her. That a whole kid. What you think may not be attractive to you that doesn't mean that it's not attracted to somebody else. You can't speak for nobody else. You're only trying to figure out what can make you excited when you look at them, or what arouses you, not what arouses anybody else. So,
And honestly, women are not just here to be. We're
no,
not just here for male consumption.
not at all, not at all. By the way, that's serious. But let's go ahead and get into our last thing for the women, because this here, I think, really got a lot of people talking and wanting to know what the hell is going on. Finally, we get here.
It took a while.
It took a while, and we finally get here to the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament that happens on this coming Monday. I don't know who the hell the teams are going to be. I have absolutely no idea, but it's quite interesting that we're finally getting this. I guess they've been working on trying to format some teams first before they actually announce this. I'm pretty sure probably, I want to say Dakota and Io are probably going to be a part of this somehow, some way.
Definitely.
Maybe Alexa and Asuka, maybe. Definitely, probably. I want to say Doudrop and Nikki, ASH.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Zelina comes back and her and Carmella comes back together or something. Who honestly knows? Maybe they'll bring up. I don't know. Maybe, okay. So Sammy thinks that it could be Dana and Tamina, Doudrop and Nikki, Alexa and Asuka, and Toxic Attraction. I want them to stay down in NXT. I do. Joseph said, preach, Santana sent Sean Ross Sapp Fightful said he was shocked. He heard as of Vince being forced to retire, this tournament still wasn't a go. Do we think Sasha and Naomi will return? I have absolutely no idea. There have been multiple reports talking about Sasha and Naomi returning together or by themselves or so on and so forth. If they show up, then I will have something to say, but they're not on my TV screen, so I can't necessarily say if they're going to come or they're going to show up. There's just a bunch of reports talking about it. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Just a bunch of reports saying that they reported that some people thought they was going to show up tonight.
Right.
It's nobody. I feel like a lot of people don't even know when they're going to show up. It's just when they show the hell up is when they show up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit and constantly sit here and try to figure out when they're going to show up. Whenever they pop up is when they pop up, and if you're happy that they popped up, then great. If you're not happy that they popped up, then that's on you. But I can't sit and keep waiting every Monday or every Friday trying to see if Sasha and Naomi is going to pop up this week or the next week or the week after next. When they pop up is when they pop up. And if they are a part of this tournament, that is great. A lot of people feel like if they do come back, they shouldn't even have to, be in this tournament. They should just get their titles back. And then whoever wins gets to face them. So I don't know. It's just interesting to see what transpired. Joseph said he can see Control. Alexa, okay. All right, same thing, same thing. Venturous said that, bruh, I will be shocked as hell like a motherfucker if Karrion Kross is the one to beat Roman and TikTok. It's possible. We still have no idea. The tournament is being announced, and with the news, I do think they are going to return with the titles. Well, like I said, if they show up and they're holding their titles, then by all means, it's a celebration. I'll tell you that much. For a lot of people, I would definitely love to know how they would spend this in the way of, cutting a promo, talking about their return, being back, and all this and that. Stephanie, when you saw this, what did you think?
I was surprised again. Because it's just like when they first announced that they were going to have a tournament, we heard nothing else about the tournament and never saw those tag titles again. And with Sasha and Naomi being gone and with the way that they basically railroaded them and talked trash about them, like I had put it to rest in my mind and thought, okay, we'll probably never see those titles again. But then everything happened the way it did. And then even after that, I still felt like we wouldn't see it again simply because the women, it's like I feel like most of the personnel for a tag team division with the women isn't necessarily there. So I was just like, okay, so in my head I was just like, okay, maybe these tag titles are gone. But then interestingly enough, today I listened to Bailey's interview for After the Bell with Corey Graves and Vic Joseph, and she talked about her desire for the tag titles to come back. So lo and behold, boom, you have this today too. So it's been manifested. It's out here because, of course, she and Sasha both manifested those titles to exist. And here they are. So I am interested in seeing it because, of course, you do still have a wealth of talent in NXT because they did just have their Fatal 4-Way elimination match and they had Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley participate and Valentina and Yulisa participate in that match and they did a stellar job. Even though they didn't wind up, of course, winning the NXT Women's Tag Titles. So either way, you still have, talent that could very well get brought up for this tag tournament. So you just never know. You never know. But I am glad that in a sense they are bringing them back. But then at the same time in my head, I was just like, maybe they'll get rid of them and then add a mid-card women's title. Another just mid-card singles title, which is something I was pushing for mentally. But at the same time, if this is the route that they're going, I'm not mad about it. And if Sasha and Naomi do come back with those titles, that would be interesting because the promo that they would cut if they were heels would be absolutely amazing. And I would be happy because I just need more black girl magic outside of Bianca. I love Bianca, love her, but Jesus Christ, I need more. So, yeah.
I agree. I mean, we definitely do need more. I love Bianca. Got a chance to meet her. Child, then get me started. But yeah. Justice said I'm glad too. If Kaden and Katana didn't win the NXT version of the women's tag titles this week, I would have had them graduate and participate in this tournament. That would have been cool too.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Yeah. We were supposed to get Naomi in the bloodline in the family, but that never happened. There's a lot of things we didn't get, but I mean, there's no denying that the fact that this is the end of a lot of things. We really don't know what can transpire. We don't know, but we do know is that the tournament begins on Monday night Raw. So I hope you guys are definitely ready for that. And basically, with that does bring us to the end of SmackDown. SmackDown be having a lot going on that I be trying to forget that we even have Rampage. SmackDown be having a lot happening. And I honestly be forgetting that we do have Rampage to get to. And so I'm going to let Stephanie take over Rampage. Wow, SmackDown. So look, Raw was definitely better, but I'm pretty sure as the weeks go on, SmackDown is going to pick up their pace. And Karrion Kross is not going to be the only thing. And Scarlett's not going to be the only people that we see come back. I will say that.
Yeah, new leadership did inherit a mess, but I'm more than sure that they will, pick it up and finish. Okay. So, go to the AEW side of things with Rampage. I said Rampage.
What is this, Maximum Male Rampage?
No. I just like to redo words sometimes. I'm a very silly person. All right, AEW Rampage. Basically, it of course was live from Grand Rapids, Michigan. On commentary, you had Jim Ross, Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, and William Regal for the opener because, of course, he is the leader of the Blackpool Combat Club, and one of those members, the interim AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, had a match against Mance Warner, which was a championship eliminator. This is my first time seeing him wrestle, but they did say on his name graphic that he did fight at Ric Flair's last match in a battle royal, and I believe he won. He was they called him the Southern Psychopath, and I could kind of tell that from the way he spoke, and the fact he's from Tennessee. Yeah. definitely giving a little bit of Stone Cold vibes there. And he's from Tennessee, Bucksnort, Tennessee. So yeah, shout out to him. Welcome to my brain in wrestling because I had never seen him before. So this match was pretty stellar, and it was just really it was really good because it was just really like a rough, like it was a roughneck match. Like these men were really giving it to each other, beating each other with chairs. Like there was a point where Mance even got cut in the forehead. There was another point where Jon Moxley even suplexed Mance into a chair on the outside of the ring. Lots of suicide dives going on. Lots of these men trading chops, you know, in the chest for each other, spine busters, just multiple suplexes. Like it was a really active match, you know, going on between these two. So it was pretty good, but basically the match ended with Jon Moxley locking him in a Kimura, kicking him, and then of course choking him out for the submission, and Moxley won. So now since he won the match, he's going on to face Chris Jericho at Quake at the Lake in Minneapolis, Minnesota next Wednesday. This was interesting because when they kept talking about Quake at the Lake for in Minneapolis, and I was just like, do y'all mean like Lake Minnetonka, like from Purple Rain, or you know, is that what y'all are talking about? Because it's in it's in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and that's where Prince is from. So I was just like, are y'all making a Prince reference right now? Because you're speaking to my soul if you are. But you know, yeah. So what did you think of this match, Sam?
I thought it was cool. I actually got the chance to watch Mance wrestle at the Ric Flair last match, and him winning the Battle Royal against, he ended up eliminating Bully Ray, which a lot of people know is Bubba Ray from the Dudley Boys. And it was really good to see him wrestle Jon Moxley, who I also got to see for GCW. So I was just in awe, you know, over the weekend of seeing both of these gentlemen wrestle, and I thought it was really good. Of course, I figured that Jon Moxley was going to win. It was just obvious, but it was nice to hear him talk. The first time I heard him talk, I was like, "Who? Is this Stone Cold? Where's Stone Cold?" Because he sounds just like, literally, as if I close my eyes and listen to him, I feel like I'm hearing Stone Cold talk. But nonetheless, this is a really great match, and I mean, Jon Moxley is going against Chris Jericho, one of my fave. Of course, I'm part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Those who don't know, the JAS, I am a part of that. But I'm excited to see the match next week with Mox and Jericho. Like, I know it's gonna be crazy. It is.
Yeah, Santana is a part of the Jazz.
I am.
So yeah, before we move on to the next match, there was a segment backstage at Dynamite from last Wednesday with Lexi Nair, who was trying to interview Ricky Starks, who had just confronted Powerhouse Hobbs because of course they have fallen out. They're no longer on Team Taz. Taz has disowned them, and also Team Taz in terms of his son Hook, who is the FTW champion now. So that team is disbanded. They're all fighting. It's a lot. So she was interrupted in their interview by QT Marshall and the Factory, and they were offering protection for Ricky Starks. And Aaron Solo was making the offer because, of course, him and Ricky Starks used to be partners in the independents, but Ricky was not here for it. He was just like, look, I can handle him myself. I don't need y'all. Bye. And that's pretty much how it ended. But QT Marshall and the Factory were both kind of looking on like, okay, you know, he's saying no right now, but eventually he'll, you know, come to his senses and come to us. But you know, I don't know. Ricky Starks is kind of that guy. Like he's one of my favorites on AEW. Like when I do, like in the moments where I watch it and I see him, it's like I'm always entertained by him, and I feel like there's so much more in store for him, you know, for his career. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen there outside of him being, with him being not being in Team Taz anymore. So yes, so. Did you have any feelings about this segment before I move on?
I mean, Ricky, he's really nice. Yeah, like Nikki said, he's so sweet. Got a chance to meet him at Starcast and everything. Nikki and I did. He's the reason that Nikki is in AEW sexual. or
Okay.
whatever. I guess add that to the acronyms.
Love
But
it.
he's honestly, he's real cool. He's real funny. I told him that me and Nikki was gonna jump Powerhouse Hobbs. Preferably me. I jump that man, beat that man down, put him in a bear lock, something like that of that nature.
Yes.
I'll fight that man. I'll fight anybody. So
Yeah,
but other than that, I mean, Ricky, I thought maybe he would have aligned himself with QT, but it seems like Ricky just kind of wants to be on his own and do his own thing right now. So nothing's wrong with that. Maybe somewhere down the line they could try to persuade Ricky to, QT could try to persuade Ricky to come be with the winning team. We got everybody around us. You don't never have to worry about being attacked, or losing your title to somebody who you used to be in a group or faction with. Come join us. Welcome to Death Row.
Not welcome to Death Row. But also, I feel like Ricky could very well be, go on to become a world champion at some point.
He could. He has it. He has it. It's just the amount of time for it to actually happen to take place for him. I know that eventually it will happen soon. It's just all about the timing, and the timing is right for him.
Yes. Book a black AEW champion. Either way. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I won't apologize for that. I'm sorry. No, forget it. Moving on. Next match. I'm trying to work on apologizing for things I shouldn't apologize for. Moving on. The next match we had was Ryan Nemeth versus Konosuke Takeshita. Oh my god. I'm trying to work on it. But basically, and then Peter Avalon was out there, in Ryan's corner. Mm-hmm. And this match was sort of like used as a means to beef up Takeshita, because of course he has a match at Battle of the Belts tomorrow, against Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor World Championship. This match was pretty good, and it was kind of different for me because I rarely, if ever, see Ryan Nemeth wrestle, which I feel like is a problem to a degree, because it's just like, I know he's Dolph Ziggler's brother, and it's just kind of like, bro, like, why don't we see the Hollywood hunk more? Like, I want to see more of him on my television, because he's really good. And then it was funny because there was a point where during the match he had Takeshita in a hold, and then he let go and then tried to do the hip swivel. But he didn't do it as good as his brother does.
Oh no, let me tell you something. Dolph Ziggler's heel swivel is unmatched.
Yeah, it was kind of stiff, but either way, that's what happened there. But then Avalon tried to trip up Takeshita, but it didn't matter. But then Takeshita wound up defeating Ryan Nemeth with a Blue Thunder Bomb and a running knee strike. So Takeshita got the win, but then Peter Avalon got in the ring and started jumping on him and beating him up. But Takeshita, found his bearings and hit him with a knee strike as well. So now Konosuke has all the momentum going into his match at Battle of the Belts tomorrow at 8 p.m. 7 Central on TNT for the Ring of Honor World Championship. How did you feel about this match, Santana? And do you believe Konosuke has a chance against Claudio?
Absolutely not. The match, honestly, I feel like it didn't last that long. I feel like, I've seen Konosuke fight before a lot. I really have, but I just feel like, I don't know, like Claudio, he's really great. He's really talented. Konosuke, he's been kind of been growing a lot in my eyes from me to see. I don't watch much of New Japan like that, unless Jay White is there, of course. But if Jay White not there, I'm not there either. So, but I think it's gonna be a really interesting match. I hope that is a little lengthy than this one here for tonight. I'm pretty sure it will be, since it's the Ring of Honor title. But I doubt that Claudio is gonna lose that title anytime soon. I don't think he is. He won it from Jonathan Gresham, and I don't think he's gonna be losing that title anytime soon. I don't think so, but who knows? You never know.
Yeah, he just won it. Like that.
That
That
would
would just
be
be a
crazy.
little bit weird if he just, lost it all of a
That'd
sudden.
be
But I'm
crazy.
more than Yeah, I'm more than sure, Takashita is going to give him, a run for his money because,
Oh, yeah,
it's going to be an athletic feast for the eyes, most definitely.
it is.
So good luck to him tomorrow. So also with the men, of course, there was a segment involving um another interview with Lexi Nair backstage from Dynamite with Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends. And
Mhm.
they sort of were talking about how Orange Cassidy has been losing a lot, by himself. But when all three of them are together, they can go on to win and do big things. So they sort of gave off the impression that they're going to go on and pursue the newly erected AEW Trios Championship. But then on medical, you
Mhm.
had a certain Danhausen being a doctor. So he tried to join the trio, but when a fourth person joins a trio, it's a quadruple. So it's just kind of like,
Mhm.
bro, like, what are you doing? But Danhausen's random and cute, so we're just gonna move on with that. He's crazy.
Yeah.
But the last men's match that we had involved the AEW World Tag Team Champions Swerve in Your Glory, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland,
Mhm.
versus Tony Nese and Josh Woods. In a Friday night street fight. And of course, you had Smart Mark Sterling out there. And there was really no rules in this, or no disqualification. So Smart
Mhm.
Mark was all over this match. He was trying to get chairs. There was even a point where he even stood up on the top rope to no avail, and he got thrown over.
Mhm.
So Smart Mark really isn't that smart. That's something that I learned from this match. You
He's
call
an
yourself
idiot.
smart, but he be making dumb decisions.
That man is an idiot sometimes. Like sometimes I just he gets on my nerves sometimes. That's
I
what
understand.
he just he
I get it.
I saw him. I did see him. He had his little fake little neck brace around and everything that he was carrying and stuff like that. I'm like, sir, let it go. Let it go. Okay.
Yeah.
Let it go, please. Okay. You keep inserting yourself and you keep getting beat up. There's no way that I thought that Keith and Swerve was going to lose these titles. Not to Borno, Tony Nese, and definitely not to Josh Woods. No matter how many smart marks they had next to him, um, they were not going to lose those titles. By no means necessary.
Yeah, and then even backstage before the match when they had their interview with Mark Henry,
Mm-hmm.
um, they seemed very irritated with each other. And then Swerve even brought up the idea that Tony Nese and Josh Woods tried to break up their celebration with Kevin Gates. And funny
Mm-hmm.
enough, when I was at the Alabama Music Awards, somebody in the media room actually asked me about Kevin Gates punching Tony Nese, and I was happy to oblige and answer that question because I knew about it, and it was just fun to talk to this hip hop station
Mm-hmm.
about it. It was just really funny. But yeah, that was just funny. Shout out to Kevin Gates. But this match was really good though. The match started, on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like while Tony and Josh were sort of looking around the ring and under the ring for weapons,
Yeah.
Lee and Swerve basically just came out and just started beating them up, with their own self. And they were using everything. Tony Nese even used his protein powder to kind of and he flung it in their eyes and stuff. Like Keith
Mm-hmm.
Lee had to get a fan's ball of water in order to wash that stuff out of his eyes.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. You had people getting smashed into steel steps, tables getting crashed into. Josh Woods actually needed an assist to suplex Keith Lee through some tables outside of the
Mm-hmm.
ring. Like it was just a lot of crazy stuff going on. In the midst of them also doing regular wrestling moves as well. But the match wound up, and then there was this really impressive spot where Swerve hit a 450 onto the pile of a pin that Tony Nese and Josh Woods had on Keith Lee, and that was really impressive. I was like, okay, Swerve, I see you doing that. It was a lot going on, just a lot of fighting. But finally, the match ended when Strickland hit the double stomp onto Tony Nese to get the pinfall, and Keith Lee and Swerve wound up winning the match, and they were celebrating, and that's pretty much where that match end. That's where the match ended. And that's all that really happened with the men on Rampage. So this match was crazy. But San, what did you think about this?
Like you said, it was, when we have street fights, you just really never know what is going to happen. I, whew, I really want Smart Marks to get beat up. Like, I mean, beat up to the point where he just don't show up no more. That man gets on my nerves so much. Like, I just put him in a chair and fold him or something,
Mhm.
any kind of way. But I feel like, with Keith Lee and Swerve, I feel like, they've been having this issue with Tony and Josh for weeks now. What, 2 weeks ago we saw Keith Lee laid out.
Right.
Like, I thought this man was sleeping. To be honest, like, what is you sleeping on the job for? But nonetheless, they it was like little Tweety birds running around his, like, on his ring around his head, like they used to do in the cartoons and everything. But I thought it was cool. It was a nice way, I would say, to kind of close out Rampage, with the men wise at that. But I still feel like the women has a bigger story to talk about and share, more so than what the men got going on. I will say that.
Oh yes. The women was fire. I loved it. Okay, so Layla Gray, who has basically been trying to curry the favor of the baddies lately in the
Mhm.
absence of Red Velvet. I'm not sure if she's back yet. Is she back?
Nah, she's not back here.
Okay, in the absence of Red Velvet, she's been trying to curry favor with the baddies, the TBS champion Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan. But for some
Mhm.
reason, they're just not opening up to her or warming up to her. So
No.
she's trying to prove herself. So she fought in a match against the AEW debuting Madison Rayne, who was announced as
Mhm.
the new AEW women's coach. And of course, if you have watched Impact Wrestling and TNA Wrestling over the past, couple maybe 10, 15 years,
Mhm.
um you've seen Madison Rayne. She's incredibly accomplished. She is a multiple time Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champion. I believe she has won the Impact Knockouts Championship at some point.
She has. She
She
definitely
has,
has.
yeah, okay.
She's a former champion.
Um what?
I said she's a former champion, Impact Knockout champion.
Yes. So she's very accomplished. And they basically said that on commentary. They put that over.
Mhm.
So it was just really interesting. Oh, thank you, Nikki. TNA Women's Champion. Thank you.
Mhm.
So that's our impact girl. So this match was really good, even though it was just 8 minutes. But it was still good. You saw the best of what Layla Gray had to offer against someone who is as accomplished as Madison Rayne.
Mhm.
Like, it was funny though because Stokely was out there, basically rooting for her, trying to pose a distraction to Madison, but it didn't necessarily work. But I was really impressed with Layla Gray's action, even though she wound up losing the match. Of course, Madison wound up winning, but after she won, she was interrupted by, of course, Miss Jade, and she came out there with this really amazing outfit on because, of course, her
Mhm.
body's amazing and she's just amazing.
Child, look
But
at me.
now, like, girl, what
My
is your workout plan? What is your workout plan?
God.
The girls need it. I need it. I need it. Okay, but either way, she came out there and was jaw jacking at Madison Rain. Basically said that she was at her show and that she is that P, of course. And in the midst of that, she said that she had an open challenge, which is supposed to be taking place next week, but she opened up the opportunity to Madison Rain. So Madison Rain accepted, and now that match is official for next week. They will be fighting for the TBS championship, which I think is pretty high cotton for someone who just got there, but it's okay.
Mhm.
Um, but in the midst of that, after that encounter, Jade sent someone to try to jump her from behind, and it was Miss Kiera Hogan, who I'm pretty sure they've had run-ins before.
Oh,
Um,
right now.
but even with that, Madison Rain was able to catch up on her and then hit her with the cross rain,
Mhm.
and which is basically what she won the match with. So that was really interesting to see. But Madison Rain was like, "Look, I got your number, ma'am. I'm not afraid of you." So that was really cool. This was a really amazing segment. I'm happy if Madison Rain is happy to be there.
Mhm.
She did have a good reception after she won the match. I still feel sad though because I feel like Kiera Hogan gets beat up a lot. Anytime I watch it on Wednesdays, I just feel like she gets beat up a lot, and I want better for Kiera. Like, come on, do better for Kiera, please.
She
So
just always
yeah,
managed to get beat up. I will say that. Yeah, it was literally changed to the TNA Knockouts champion, I believe. Kiera deserves so much. She does. I feel like, I mean, she came out with a new hairdo, you know what I'm saying, to show off, and then she gets laid out in it. But I feel like with Kiera, she is a great talent. She really is.
she is.
She's a great talent. I hate that they have, basically they've, what she said she kind of wanted to get away from being the best friend now of someone now to just being a baddie or just like a little special enforcer for someone and not really having the time to really just hold her own. She's constantly still being aligned to someone else. Although when she was kind of doing her singles run, I mean, she was kind of just on dark, and that was pretty much it. The first person that she wrestled in her debut match was Jade Cargill, and she lost to her
Mm.
in her debut. So I don't know. Like I feel like with Kiera, like I said, I think she's a great talent. I really feel as if like she has a lot to show for it. She has a lot to prove. And it's just a simple fact of like when she's going to get her opportunity to do so because it seems as if like she's just there to be somebody's sidekick. And that's it. And that's not what she should be. She shouldn't have to be somebody's sidekick. She shouldn't.
Right.
More than that.
Yeah, so Kiera does deserve better, and we are still rooting for her, but we're rooting for the entire women's division of AEW. So this is going to be interesting. And of course, with the women, they did announce for Battle of the Belts 3 tomorrow, there will be a championship match with Thunder Rosa versus Jamie Hayter, and of course, the good doctor, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Rebel are going to be in her corner. So that's what's going on tomorrow. And
Mhm.
that's really about it. They didn't really announce any, well, outside of Jade and Madison next week. They
Mhm.
didn't really announce any more women's matches at that point. But yeah. Do you care to give a prediction, for this match?
No lie though. Everybody knows that I'm not. I always say this. I'm always not the biggest fan of people. I'm definitely not the biggest fan of Thunder Rosa. So I personally, I wouldn't mind if Jamie wins. I wouldn't. I feel like Jamie, she's good. Jamie is amazing. She really is. And I feel like she doesn't get enough credit. Everybody's too focused on her assets and not her in-ring ability. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I feel like she's great. I feel like she I mean, if she just so happens to dethrone Thunder Rosa, that's gonna be funny as hell to me. You know, it's gonna be funny as hell to me. But I would like to see that happen, but honestly, it's kind of up in the air. I really don't know. Because Thunder Rosa's reign as champion has not been the best. Majority of her time, she's kind of been tied with Tony Storm, which I want them to get away from each other. I really do. I don't like this thunderstorm thunderstorm bullshit. I hate it. I don't want that. I never wanted that. By no means necessary. I think it's the stupidest thing to do to have your champion be constantly in a tag match with someone that they just were in a match with. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's dumb. I think it's stupid. And so I just feel like, eventually somehow, some way, Thunder and Tony will be no more. And I don't know what can happen between if Jamie Hayter wins. And then that means like, well, what does that leave for like Britt Baker? You know what I'm saying? Like, is Britt gonna be, happy that Jamie won the title? Is she really gonna be happy that she won, or is she gonna be a little jealous and envious that she won?
I feel like she would be envious that she won. Because when Dr. Britt Baker had that title, she held on to it with seemingly an iron fist.
Mm-hmm.
So
She
you
did.
could only imagine how she would feel if her friend got it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it would be almost as bad as it would be like her celebrating like with Rebel on her shoulders, kind of like how Triple H did Randy Orton that time when
Yeah.
he won the heavyweight title, and then it was on Raw, and then he was on Batista's shoulders, and then he went like this, knowing full well he was mad, and then went like this, and then he got slammed. Britt strikes me as the type of person who would do that to Jamie if she did win.
Let's see. Joseph said, I wouldn't be surprised if Jade and Madison for the women's television champion is the only match for Wednesday. It's possible. Joseph said he also wouldn't be surprised if a title changes hands tomorrow. I can't see a challenger in all three title match, especially for Jamie Hayter, or winning, especially for Jamie Hayter. He also said that Rosa has been on TV the equivalent of one Dynamite episode in almost 5 months. I am not counting her two title defense at Battle of the Belts. Nikki said Britt saved their title. She also said that Thunder would have one of the worst reigns in AEW history, male or female.
Ouchie.
Ouch. I mean, it's true. I mean, she would have one of the worst reigns because I mean it just didn't really do much for her. You know, it just seems like, you know, it's kind of like you don't even remember that she's even holding these titles, to be honest. Like you kind of forget that she's even holding them.
Yeah, I think it's simply
what it is.
I think it's really just because of the fact that, you know, Tony TK, not our TK, but the other TK, is basically sort of serving as the Tyler Perry of wrestling at this point, because he's doing everything and writing everything himself and doing everything himself, as opposed to having a room.
Not the Tyler Perry. Oh my God. That's hilarious.
As opposed to having other people also help you write the stuff, you're doing it all yourself, and it's just
God.
And it's showing. I mean, it's kind of just, it's all kind of showing. But that's just my theory about it. I'm not saying this 100% true, but I'm just saying it's just it's yeah, it's a lot.
It's definitely not her fault. It definitely is booking. They've definitely made her reign worse than Hangman Page, and I honestly at one point forgot that he was holding the title. Islam Customers Only said, I'm hyped for Cage and Jungle Boy at All Out. Cage is the best heel ever seen. I've been watching wrestlers around 1991. Awesome, that's cool.
Okay, welcome.
Joe said 100% Nikki. I blame booking tonight. It seems like outside of maybe Dr. Britt, Tony doesn't know how to create a credible champion, male or female. Nikki also laughed in the fact that you said, hey, Tyler Perry of wrestling is crazy. I am screaming in all capital letters, which she probably has a straight face, but she's screaming.
I'm just saying. Y'all know that story that came out about him just writing his own scripts all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, sir, what? Like, get you a writer's room. But, you know, I've never worked behind
the writer's room.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Like, it's just a lot. So I believe, you know, TK, not our TK, just needs better help.
He needs,
and that's all I'm going to say.
Off the snow patrol. That's what he needed to do. And once he, you know, once he, stop with the nasal conditions and everything. I don't. LOL, I'm actually laughing. I don't hear you laughing, but okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Madison Rayne is here to definitely shake up the table. I will say that she definitely is here. But I mean, that pretty much brings us to the end of our, show with Rampage and SmackDown. Nikki said Madison Rayne about to shake some shit up, but will Rayne defend Jay? Oh yeah. Does she? Is she the one who will defeat Jade Cargill and end her streak, as well as take that title away from her that she has been carrying so long?
I'm not sure.
Like, do anybody feel like she would be the winner of this? Although she's a coach, she's an in-ring competitor too. So, but doesn't necessarily say that this could be like this would be the only match that she has. You know, like maybe she has something else that she'll be doing.
I don't know.
To be continued. Who knows?
Yeah. We're on a fun journey, guys.
We are. Reigns takes the reign. That could be the title of something if she wins. I'll tell you that much.
What if she ran, took the title, and then went back to Impact?
Girl,
Ran away, just won the title, ran slap away, and went back to Impact.
I would personally laugh at if she ever did something like that. For me, wise, I would definitely laugh at the fact that she really came over here, took that title, and left, and said, "You know what? I was just playing."
Yeah, it would be it would be
I'm
very
just playing, y'all. I'm not going nowhere. That's gonna be the title for next week if she does. Nikki says as she screams somewhere. I guess. Joe said this is setting up for Nikki and Al to have a great Dynamite post show on Wednesdays. And then Impact signs a TBS deal. Boom. And then boom, Impact skyrockets to the top where they get more views instead of people complaining about it being on Access TV. But
I
it
would
is
love that for them.
yeah, because they have a lot of great talent over there. Shout out to the Bullet Club as usual. Those are my guys. As always, those are my guys. Especially, I know Chris Bay your thing, Stephanie, but he's mine too. So
Okay. I was gonna give a shout out to Mickey James.
Shout out to Mickey. Mickey
She lives in my head rent free. That's why.
Yeah, Mickey's been I don't know where Mickey been, but she's
shout
been.
Out to Jordan Grace.
Shout out to Jordan Gray. Shout out to Tasha Steele. Shout out to Deanna. Shout out to Green. Shout out to Shout out to Mia Yim. All the gals over there at Impact Wrestling. Shout out to them.
You said shout out to Tasha Steele, and I'm just thinking about the interaction me and her had this week. Oh my god!
And not y'all sharing like Carmelo too, huh, girl? Shout out to Chester Green, Deanna Trey Miguel. Shout out to everybody over there at Impact, man. They are.
Tasha likes my singing voice.
It's crazy. I didn't even know that you sung that until it was brought to my attention. I did not know. Like, I was just like, Tasha, they was like, Tasha got a new intro and everything, and they didn't know who sung it and everything. So ever since I heard it, I was like, this does sound like Stephanie. And so it lives in my head that sometimes I actually catch myself singing that in your voice. I really catch myself singing in your voice when every time I just be sitting there, and when I heard it, I was like, damn, all I hear is everybody hates Chris. Literally the same model tone and everything. Like, if I go back and listen to the Petty Steels intro and then I hear everybody hates Chris, I literally feel like I'm hearing the same thing. And I'm just like, this is so damn funny. This is hilarious to me. This is like closing out a sitcom, and this is like the cliffhanger right now. And then it's just like, you go into singing about Petty Steels and everything. I was like, that is extremely hilarious. But definitely shout out to you. I'm glad that she loved it. I'm glad that she thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that's great as well. So I mean, like, she wished she could hug you. So I know that definitely meant a lot to you to actually have the opportunity to do that for her. So.
Yeah, definitely. It was a very fun experience, and I'm glad that she loved it. Like, I was just surprised because it's like I had a tag from Lovely, and then I saw it, and then I saw what she said. I was like, oh snap. And TK told me she liked it, but I just wasn't sure to what degree. And then that happened the way it did. And I was like, oh my God, okay.
She actually does like it. Okay. we are on to something. She actually does like it. So
yeah, I do jingles and I do intros. I do a lot of stuff, guys.
Yeah, but holler at Stephanie once your jingles and everything done now, because Stephanie's gonna get you right. Okay.
Yeah, I host, I commentate, I write, I sing, I do it all. It's tiring, but
I mean, listen, if I could sing like Stephanie, somebody would put me on a jingle. I'll tell you that much. That lives rent free in my head. I had to screen record and save just that snippet of the singing part that I can save to my phone and listen to it whenever I get bored. It brings me so much excitement.
Thank you. I'm so flattered. Oh my god, this is a lot.
All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get on out of here because we don't want to keep you guys too long. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed the SmackDown and Rampage after show with, of course, me and Stephanie here. Stephanie, let everyone know where they can follow you at and keep up with you and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I always know you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy, and listen to my podcast, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your podcasts.
Sorry, I'm working back here. Editing articles in the midst of this. But as for me, of course, you guys know that you can find me on Google as usual. If you don't know, now you know now. All you gotta do is type in Dreon Santana, and that's where you'll find me as always. Make sure you guys continue to follow, support, and subscribe to Women's Wrestling Talk Twitch page. We are exclusively here, so make sure you guys comment, you like, you share, turn on our notification bell so that every time that we go live, you are notified and that you know that we are live here. Make sure you guys follow our social medias at WWE Talk Pod. Make sure you guys check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Closing out the rest of this week for you guys. There's no show on Saturday, which today is Saturday. There's no show on Saturdays. So make sure you go back and watch all of the post shows, all of the shows that we had for this week and up until, this it actually kind of removes the stuff like after 2 weeks. So make sure you just go back and watch all of our post shows. If you don't catch it on here, definitely catch it on YouTube because it'll be uploaded after that. Make sure you guys come back on Sunday for Turnbuckle Glam at 5 p.m. Central Time. Turnbuckle Glam will be every other Sunday. So it'll be bi-weekly now. So make sure you come back for that because we got a lot of looks that we got to discuss and talk about. So make sure you guys come in for that. And that pretty much closes out our week before we roll over into a new week of post shows and shows and things like that. So once again, as always, thank you guys so much for all of your support for us here at Women's Wrestling Talk. We're growing. We're really gonna be the big talkers real soon, in case you did not know that. So if you're not checking for Women's Wrestling Talk, you need to get the look in, search in, go to your Google, talk about it, share with everyone, and let them know that Women's Wrestling Talk is definitely on the come up and definitely striving and growing each and every day. And we can't do it without you guys supporting us and watching our stuff and interacting with us, because we definitely do appreciate it. We wouldn't be this far without you guys and all the hard work that we do over here for Women's Wrestling Talk. So thank you, Joseph. This was a fun recap. These ladies are always a hoot, whatever the hell that means. Thank you.
It's a compliment.
Huh? What?
It's a compliment. He laughs at us like it's a compliment. We're a hoot because we're fun. That's what it is.
I thought it was fine words. Thanks to everyone.
It's a compliment.
I didn't know what it was. I was joking, Joseph. I would never fight you. Never. But once again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.